Joining me today on Good News with Twanda Black, where we're discovering some of the most inspiring trials to triumph stories and empowerment moments. Call up a friend and let them know it's time for some good news. Hello, family, and welcome to Good News with Twanda Black. I am your host. We talk with folks from all walks of life about their good news because ultimately, if your brothers and sisters are doing well, you're doing well, all right? Sit back, relax, and enjoy my next guest. Joining us today is Bishop Michael Strickland. He is pastor of Victory Tabernacle Church International here in Atlanta. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well. How are you today?
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for taking out time. You pastors are so busy these days. You know, I think when y'all learned about church building and growth and all of that, and oh my God, to me, pastors were always busy, but I think today's pastor is extremely busy. Don't you think?
I do. It's a different time for us. My father was a pastor, and so I look at what he had to really work through. It's a lot different than what we're working through now. It is different, yes, ma'am. And I would venture to say that if we don't shift our perspective on it, it's gonna be even more, I guess I can use this word, more work, you know, if we don't shift our perspective on it. It's a lot though. And then post-pandemic, shifted it another, because now we're contending with having to do this. I'm very relational, and I'll be honest with you. One of the toughest things for me going through the pandemic was not being able to at least greet the people that I serve. I went through a very low place in that because I'm into people. Yeah. And so post-pandemic, it has shifted even more. Yeah. You know, now we've got to deal with the televisions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the other thing is that everybody wanted to be global. Now you're global.
Now you're global for real. Hey, you didn't want to be global, right? It's real now. Yes. You know, my pastor was the same way. And so we had to find a way to, as much as possible, be as personable and in relationship with folks when you couldn't touch them. You know, how do you do that? How do you figure that out? Some pastors didn't do anything, right? But a lot of pastors really kept in touch with their people, which was a good thing because people needed that. We needed you guys. We needed, we needed our pastors. We needed our friends during that time.
And for our membership, because we shifted and we had to shift the method. Yeah, I was working diligently. We always have this thing in our ministry where we reach out through this call multiplier piece. But I was making sure then, hey, at least twice a month, let's Zoom together outside from Bible study, just to have a session and say, hey, how's everybody doing? Right. How are you working through the process? Because it really did a work on people in general. And I think it's still doing a work. We've just not identified it as such. It has affected us. So to do it differently. And so I have one of my daughters is working with me, walking alongside me, so that when the Lord says to me it's time for me to restructure my life, she'll be the one that will step in and take the work on. And in that process, we had to shift our thinking. The route we were taking wasn't inclusive of COVID.
That's right.
And so now we have members in other states. And so how do we e-church them? You know,
we're doing the same thing. Yeah. We're doing the same thing. We include them, we talk to them, we chat with them, we do everything we need to do. And I'm sure within ministry and the confines of what you pastors have to do, you find a way to also connect with them, outside of church. So it's an amazing time, I think, for pastors, and more busy than ever. But you're right. If you don't watch out, this thing is the work is gonna be overwhelming. It's gonna be too much. And so I love my pastor, Pastor Clinton McFarland. He takes vacations. Yeah. He works a lot. Now he's amazing. He works a lot, but He takes vacations. I find pastors that never take vacations. I'm like, so when you drop in the pulpit, because I have seen it with my own eyes, I've seen people drop dead in the pulpit, and they just kind of, okay, just carry him out and keeps moving.
Yes.
You got to understand that you got to take care of yourself so you can take care of us, and you can take care of your family and your children and all of that. Take care of yourself. My God.
And for me, two things. I saw my dad do this work, and my dad was all in it. And I don't know what it was about him taking a break or taking vacations. It just, I don't know if he just wasn't built that way.
He wouldn't do it. Right. It's that generation, they would not take vacations. So it said something in their psyche. It said something about weakness, I think.
Yeah. And the second thing is, I want you to know that I am right down the street from your church.
Ah, are you really?
Yes, ma'am. So if you come out of your church, come down towards the 155 Inn, take that right at the food depot, go to the very next red light. There's a school right there and the new Publix. Take a left right there. Our church is right there.
What? Oh, that's amazing.
Yes, we are neighbors.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, we are. That is wonderful. Now, and you know, talking about you're a native of Atlanta, preacher's kid, of course, and also within seeing your father in this profession, you've seen Atlanta. I always talk about how I've seen Atlanta change and grow. Talk about that for a moment, because that's very interesting for those of us who have been here forever or that were born here.
Yes, ma'am. It has taken a major shift. If I can remember back in 1986, maybe 85, 86, was when I began to recognize the shift that had taken place in Atlanta, where we used to be, I feel like we were very friendly and very family oriented and very neighborly and very loving and caring. Something happened, I believe, back in 85, 86. And I vividly remember going to high school. At the time, it was George High School. I remember going to the high school at that time, and one of the parties that I attended, I was very into partying. Let me just leave it at that. I'm the social guy. I love being around people. And after that party, I heard that one of the gentlemen that was at the party after I left was thrown over the balcony. And from that moment, I began to see changes in the city of Atlanta. Our parents were very involved when we were growing up. They were into our education. They were into our lives. They were into everything concerning us. And something shifted. And oftentimes, I thank my mom for being the kind of mom she was. When my dad was alive, I would thank him, not as much because I got all the whippings, right? I mean, I was just that kid. But in hindsight, I'm thankful for the love that was shown, the discipline that was displayed, the work ethics that I saw, the caring for families. And so it shifted. And being an educator, I saw it happening in the schools. I saw children coming in differently. It was tough for me because I grew up under the discipline of you never disrespect adults.
Right.
I don't care whether they're your mama, your grandmother, they're in your house.
Well, you don't know them. Right.
You always respect it. And when that level of respect became compromised, and when children realized, I don't have to do what you say, you're not my mom, blah, 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 I saw things shift in the city. And so all of my years of teaching was in the city of Atlanta. I was native Atlanta, and so I'm a product of the Atlanta public school system. So I went back to teach because I loved what was taught to me. I love what was poured into me. And when I began to teach, I saw it. So I wanted to give back to that community what was given me. And about 10 to 12 years in, I saw things shifting even more. The disrespect was at its all-time high.
Well, you know, when the parents come up and want to beat you.
Yes.
Yeah, you got a problem.
Yeah, and
you got a problem.
Now you see where the kids get it.
Exactly.
So if you don't respect your mom at home and you do all that, and it was tough for me, Lady Twanda. I'll be the first to admit it was tough for me because my mama taught me, if you hit me, as a kid, I'm gonna hit you back. So I told all my kids, I told all my administrators, please, let's be clear. Do not hit Mr. Strickland, because he is not of the mindset to know that you are a kid. I mean, you know, if you're bold enough an adult, of course that will put us in all other kind of situations. But I noticed that shift when the level of respect, especially for professions and professionals that we honor, we lost it. The church used to be the voice in the community.
Not now.
The place.
And
when folks started disrespecting the local assembly, the local assemblers, and the leaders of the assembly, that's when the problems began. And we start infiltrating other systems into our systems, trying to make it work here. You know, and so I saw it back in the 80s, and I've been praying and being a pastor now, asking the Lord to lead me where he needs me, that I might be most effective to be the salt and the light, to bring his colors and his season to the earth. Because there has to be something that takes place. Absolutely. And it has to start with us. The church has to go back to being the church. Yes, ma'am. You know, that's a whole nother day of talking. We started out about that. I want to tell you though, we graduated from the same high school. Yes. I went to George. I went to George High as well, but you're some years younger than me. Really? Yes. We'll talk about that offline. Yes, ma'am. We have to. Who was your principal then? It was Mr. Wallace Beer. He was my principal. Okay. The assistant principal was Dr. Brown. She was my principal. She was my assistant too. Listen, and when I tell you Dr. Brown didn't play, and she was, that's why I feel that things shifted, because she was now. The educators then were almost our extended parents. They were. Exactly. And they would make us, because my parents knew our administrators. Yes. And all Dr. Brown had to say was, "You don't want me to call Linda and Dr. Hopi. You don't want that." I'm like, "You're right. And then there was Miss Frida Booker who was there. Yes. Mr. Eberhardt. Yes, he was one of my teachers. Absolutely. Yes. Look, here was the thing about Dr. Brown. She was a member of my church. So I had the double whammy. I didn't play with her. We did not play with Catherine Brown. Yes. We did not play with her. And she made it known, I'm the boss, and you're going to respect what I say. And we respected her. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we respected Dr. Bill too. I mean, we respected all of our teachers during that time. Yes. You know, I salute you for going back into the school system to give what you got, although things were just transitioning out of, you know, the respect and the honor for the teachers. You know, it's been an amazing shift. So we need to talk about your music. Yes, you got a new song out, If My People. You were blessed to be with Sherry Jones Moffett, and so talk about it. I didn't even know you were a singing pastor. It's nothing like a good singing pastor. Thank you, ma'am. So I started at George High in the 10th grade with Miss Linda Crumbly as the teacher. Let me back up, because elementary school was Miss Terry, middle school it was Miss Washington at Crawford Long. Then when I got to high school, 10th grade was when I really took the music. I been singing all of my life. But in the 10th grade, when I got with her, that I took the music seriously, and I decided, because being a football player was just not going to be, it wasn't in my deck of cards. It just wasn't. But of course, every guy had to go that route, because every guy had to do sports. Right. Almost like, hey, that's it. That's what you do. And when I realized that was not really me. So here's an interesting fact. I was supposed to take over when Luther Vandross died. Okay. that was in my head, right? That was in my heart. And so the music career for me began then. I did a lot of singing at George High School. I would do the Carnation. Miss George at the time was Erica. I all of those. And so singing has always been a part. Then I took piano under Miss Crumbly. And I just went to the Governor's Honors Program through the high school. Then I went straight into college and I did my music degree. And what my plan was to go there, get the degree, and become a traveling performer. Here again, in my mind, I'm supposed to jump on the scene when Luther Vandross, when Luther's name began to be like a fade. Michael Strickland's name was supposed to come on the scene, right?
That was your plan.
Right. College, fast forward, and my professor, Dr. David Johnson, says to me, he says, Michael, listen, you're a great singer, but I've seen this before. Why don't you get you an education degree just in case the singing and the performance doesn't work? And you can teach, you'll have all that together, and you can just go that route. Well, in hindsight, what I did was I took the teaching position because I graduated in July '91. In August, I had a job in the Atlanta public school system.
Wow.
Back with the same teachers that taught me, so they knew Michael. And so I got in the system, and for 30 years, 27 plus 30 years, 27 to 31 years, I did the teaching. The money was good. Everything was great there. And so when I went there, I just kind of stayed. But in my mind, I knew that I'm supposed to be a singer. I believe, and now I know the Lord has called me to do global ministry. And so with that, I left the district in May of last year. My wife and I got into agreement. We prayed. The Lord gave me, as my grandmother would call it, the May-go.
Yeah.
And so I left the district, and I had done that before, twice. But I went back because my faith wasn't as solid, and I didn't have. Listen to this. I threw away my confidence in the promise of God. And so I had to get back on track. And so my wife and I got into agreement last May. And so I came on board full-time with this. And I was thinking about that Monday morning, how thankful I am to God that I am in purpose now, walking out the plan. It has something to do with me being the next Luther back then, but it's a different sound now and a different agenda. So I've been singing all my life, and I love it with all of my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm a worshiper at heart. And any given Sunday at Victory Tabernacle Church International, I'll strike out and sing. I like a variety of music, and the one that I want to make certain our young people never forget are the hymns of the church.
Lord Jesus. That's a whole nother conversation because they don't know the hymns.
They don't. And so my middle daughter is my worship leader, and I keep trying to instill in her, hey, baby, she said to me, it's a bunch of words. Yeah, but go back. You're telling a story.
Right.
And then there's a shout in the refrain that needs to be a part of our
yes.
So I've been singing, I've been worshiping, and I'm grateful to be where I am now. All of those years of teaching, all of those years of doing that, I believe has prepared me and allowed me the opportunity to be in the position that I'm in now.
That's amazing. Amazing, Bishop. Amazing. If my people, now, are you working on a full project? I know you've got this single out, so you're working on your project?
Yes, ma'am. I actually am working back in the studio. Getting ready to go back in the studio. We're having conversations about that I might complete the full project. Yes, ma'am. I've got 3 other songs that I'm working on. And it was interesting the other day, the question was asked me, so what other feature can we expect next? You're going to hear my voice a lot.
Good. That's as it should be.
Yes, ma'am.
As it should be. Tell people where they can get your music from. We're going to pop in and listen to a little bit of that music, but tell folks where they can find you. I know that you're traveling right now a little bit on tour. So where can they find your music? So
all of my music is on all digital platforms. You can go to Spotify, you can go to Apple Music. All the digital platforms will have the music there. And they can also go to my website, which is www.mastrickland.com. And there's the song is there. We'll make sure that they get a hard copy there, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people who still want to have the CD.
Absolutely. Look, when I got my new car a couple of years ago, I was like, "Where's my CD player?" It's like, "Oh, that's old. We don't do CD." I was like, "Wait a minute, I got like 1 million CDs. Are you kidding me?"
Right. And I like to travel, listen to the words. So I got the Bible experience in my listen. So they can get a hard copy there. My social media platforms are Facebook is Michael A. Strickland. So is Instagram, Michael A. Strickland 15. And so they can get they can find me there. On my website, they can get a copy of the song, and on all digital platforms is there. And if they would just like for me to mail them one, they can make that request, and we can make that happen.
All right, and now tell everybody where your church is.
So it's the Victory Tabernacle Church International, located at 111 Kellytown Road, McDonough, Georgia 30252, where we know that victory is in our praise.
All right, I love it. Thank you. Bishop Michael Strickland joins us today. Thank you so much, Bishop, and we look forward to your great music.
Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh my gosh, such a joy. To be a guest on the show, you can email me at twandablack@thepgnetwork.org or goodnews@thepgnetwork.org. Watch the show via PGN TV on all your digital streaming apps or visit us at pgntv.org. We'll see you next time for some good news. God bless you.